Right, let's see if we are live. If recent indications or anything, we should be active, and I'm yammering at a screen blankly right now. Let's see if that holds true. I'm looking for the link. There it is. And we are up and running. I'm looking for the link. All right, cool. It sounds like we got some decent sound going here. I'm going to punch the social medias here real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get kicking here. Let's see. Today we are creating the ruined gazebo map, battle map, exclamation point. So my name is Phil Kearney. Hey, I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish online. And right now we're looking at the book cover to the next project that I'll be publishing on DMsGuild called Crystals of Mabar. It's an adventure in the Eberron setting for 4 to 5 characters of level 7 to 8. You're fighting a bunch of necromancers and undead in the forest of the Carnwood in the nation of Karnath on the continent of Corvair. Morning, Rel. How you doing, guy? Let's see. I've got my social medias boosted here. So I've been DMing since 1987. I've been using Eberron as my home plane of existence for my campaigns since 2006. This is my X-Twitter page. If you're on the X-Twitter platform, I'm at Phil Kearney. You can follow me there. You can hit the like button. Thanks a lot to new subscribers. Awesome. We got new people on board again already. Thank you so much for everyone that is interested in the stuff that we do. We created this book cover back around episode 40. You can check out the full 277 episodes over the past year or so here in the full playlist. So episode 40, we built the book cover here, and right now we are making a ruined gazebo. The Carnwood had swallowed up this. It was basically like a military campground, or like a base at one point in the distant, like hundreds of years ago, towards the beginning of the last war that lasted hundreds, like 500 years. And in this adventure, or the default setting in the Eberron campaign is that your campaign starts after the last war has just ended. It's kind of like that space between World War I and World War II in European history. That's kind of where the world of Eberron finds themselves when the adventure, when the campaign would normally be assumed to have began. That is too thick of a line. Let's get rid of that. I want to be at 3 pixels for outlining space, and 2 pixels for interior line work. So like here's the border of this wall that we're making here, and then the interior space would be like this. So we're showing dilapidation in this, basically this wall that frames this gazebo, which is covered over in grit. And then we have the platform, the play space that it's inside of. This is the general environment, so we'll fill this wall when it's done in with this color material here. And then we'll add in all the little environmental token bits, some water, some water hazards, and then we'll have this thing done. So I slept in more than I expected to, so I'm not sure if I'm going to actually have this done today or not. But sometimes it's just the journey, more so than arriving. But I obviously want to get this thing published. I'm shooting for November publication date. We'll see if I hit it. So wish me luck as we travel along this path. Everyone just turned 20 in June. It was the 20th anniversary for the 2004 release of the Eberron campaign setting. I jumped on board with it a few years later, and quickly merged, blasphemously, I quickly merged Eberron into the Great Wheel anatomy of plane hopping, because all campaigns I run are Spelljammer and Planescape blended together one way or another. And so there's a number of alternate planes of existence that are in the Eberron campaign, as opposed to like the inner planes and like the plane of negative energy fueling undead. Instead, in Eberron, there is the plane of Mabar. which is the plane of negative planar energy and darkness, things that go bump in the night, stuff like that. And so those replace the like the Abyss and Tartarus and the like Elysium, all that stuff gets swapped out with these alternate planes, and the way you can fit them into the larger setting of Eberron in general. And I'm going to take a quick tangent here. So you have a normal plane of existence, like your world, like your campaign world on like non-Earth, right? And then you've got the wild space system around it, and then outside of that wild space system is sitting inside this is the egg yolk, and here's the whites, which is the wild space system, and that's in the frying pan of the abyss, or of the astral plane. And then from the astral plane you enter the Great Wheel, which is all these different, like the Abyss and Hades and Pandemonium and Limbo, Isgard, the Beastlands, Olympus, Mechanus. This is called the Great Wheel, where all the alignments have their true expression. Like lawful evil is Bator, previously the Nine Hells. The Abyss is chaotic neutral, the demon pits, as it were. So this surrounds it, and then you also have, at the same time, the inner planes, which is like air, earth, fire, water, and then you've got positive energy and negative energy, and that creates the molecule of the inner planes sitting inside the ethereal sea, or the ethereal plane. So where does Keith Baker's 13 planes of Eberron, if this is the mighty E, here Eberron in the center of this mass, they have orbits. So Eberron has its home world, and then it has 13 planes of existence that are in orbit around the planet, and occasionally these would come into cotermination, like they would overlap with the world of Eberron. And wherever this Venn diagram would overlap, there's this terraforming process where the plane leaks through, and like those creatures can be summoned or step into this, like step sideways into this reality. And that's where a lot of monsters come from in the world of Eberron. So from here, like if we're looking at the plane of Mabar, and this is the plane of negative energy here, and this is the plane of positive energy here, and say this is the Abyss, and like this is Tartarus, then the plane of Mabar would be like here, where it's pulling energy from both the negative plane and Tartarus to create the plane of Mabar, which is in orbit around Eberron. So Eberron steps does a half jig into Mabar before you then jump into the plane of negative energy or into the outer planes, respectively. So that's how I built it. Like it's a buffer zone that translates the inner planes and the outer planes of the larger reality of the multiverse, and it filters energy from those planes, blends them together into the 13 planes that orbit Eberron, that then come and touch down on Eberron, causing all the magics in the world. Like that's the quick skinny of how cosmology works. So the Abyss is definitely chaotic evil. Chaotic. Did I say chaotic neutral? My bad. That's I think that's Pandemonium. Sorry, I was thinking Rakdos when I said that, which is black-red magic. So thank you. You are absolutely correct. The Abyss is chaotic evil. Thank you for that. The classic confrontation between devils and demons. Devils from Bator being lawful evil, and the Abyss being chaotic evil. They're two sides of the same evil coin, and they can't agree on how it should be organized or disorganized. So yeah, thanks, bro. Keeping me straight there while I'm on my rants. Greatly appreciated. I'm going to crumble this a bit here, like that. But yeah, that's how I like justify having the Great Wheel cosmology still exist inside the Eberron campaign. Because as much as I love the world of Eberron, don't really care about the outer the planar system that that is introduced into Eberron. So that's a way for me to be able to have my cake and eat it too. And it just adds an additional level of complexity to the planar landscape for me. So it allows me to create different types of stories by having something bend through different realities. And I can still retain the wild space cosmology that I love in 5e and have it operate. You can still have a Spelljammer campaign operating with the Eberron, the Eberron cosmology, as it were. In the way that I build it, there are no actual moons in Eberron. They are portals that open and close with the tide, or with the cycle of the moon. Those planes open and close to those other dimensions, but they're so far away, it rarely matters. So you need to have a spelljamming ship that's capable of traversing the distance between the world of Eberron and those moons to be able to like physically enter that plane of existence, which you can do if you can make that if you make the journey. So the wild space is dark and it's full of terrors, and so a Planescape, a Spelljammer campaign in Eberron, once you get past the Kyber belt into deep space, that's when you start finding all these nightmare creatures. And there's a sect of the gatekeepers that basically live on asteroids way out there in orbit, keeping an eye on the opening and closing of these planes to make sure there's no weird invasions that happen. And if they are, they fight them before they ever get to Eberron. That's my story. That's my tragic story. Hey, what are we talking about right now? Too many planes. Yeah, Limbo's chaotic neutral. Absolutely right. Too many planes. Yeah, you know, it is what it is. I do that here. It's just it's like nations, you know. You only focus on the ones that are of interest to you. I've ran many planar campaigns. Like almost all of my campaigns are planar. They're either like portal driven or ship driven using Spelljammer. And in almost all of my campaigns, I limit the number of planes of existence that the team needs to worry about during a campaign, typically to 3 or less, because that allows you to limit the scope of your campaign. You want to have your like we were previously talking about different tiers of gameplay, right? Level 1 to 5, 6 to 9, 10 to 15, whatever. You have these steps that your campaign transitions through as the characters continue accumulating power. Is that better? That feels bestest. Cool. So we're just punching holes in the wall, and let's see. I'm gonna knock this one down. We're almost done with this line art. These are simple little walls, and over the hundreds of years, these things got overgrown with forest. The forest reclaims everything in time, and this facility is no different. So as the planar energies of Mabar overlap with this realm, it rotted away necrotically all the plant life that's in it. And that exposed all the stonework and structures that still remain here. There. And there. And so the environment's taking its toll on the stone. So that's why we are wearing away at the structure here. Plus it just adds some interest. Like the structure is still here. You know, I'm gonna blow this out. Get rid of that. Make a big chunky hole of that. Come on, Kearney. Press your button. There you go, buddy. There you go, pal. I just chip away at it there. I just want to get rid of these right angles. They would definitely be worn down at this point. So I want to remove the right angles from the corners, and then we can start coloring these in. We are making good progress. I'm happy with that. Wear that down. This in a bit. Like that. I think, what were we talking about last episode? We were talking about, different resolution systems? Man, I had a great time converting the monk yesterday. And the if you check my playlist, the Martial Powers playlist, the most recent episode was taking in the information about the new 2024 monk and then integrating it into the Martial Power system that we've been developing. And it's super. I love everything that they've done with the 2024 monk, and it was so easy to integrate that stuff into the game. I'm feeling like I want pillars like this at these corners here and here, here and here, here and here, here and here. Let's do it. Here. Yeah, right on, guy. Well, now I'm really curious. Hold on. Live. Oh, I actually want to hear. Videos. No, playlists. I want to see playlist, and we'll go to Spelljammer Squad, Martial Powers and Command, Spelljammer, Extracted Conversations, Digital Painting Techniques, Inspiration, Eberron Adventure Design, and then let's go down to the most recent one. Eberron Art Extreme Token. And then, thank you, Timely Timer. Keep that going. Let's see. Beep, 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 beep. And then, the list is so big. You have to traipse through it all. Let's see. Not getting there. So when will you publish the Martial Power System? We're going to be playtesting it later this month through September or October. I am anticipating a... Hold on. Probably January feels right now. There's no guarantee how quickly it's going to get done because we have to finish playtesting it. Then we have to make sure that all the rules that we have jive with the current system, with the new updated. Obviously, I'm having technical issues here. Gazebo map, and then 277. Let's go to here and see where that's at in the playlist. This is a tangent that I don't think I need to be taking. 276. Where's my 277? Let's just go into the studio. Yeah, so maybe November, somewhere, no, not November, probably January, I would reckon. Maybe February. It's difficult to tell for certain exactly how fast these things get built, because they just take time. That's what I was looking for. There, and then the end of the conversation. It's a very 5th edition, it's a very WotC way to approach it. And I'm going to say it's a very Hasbro way to approach it, because 3rd edition didn't feel this way. The other, do you spend the experience points on a sword?
Yeah.
Or do you spend the gold on experience points? Okay, yeah. So we were talking about the how the game evolves away from being an all ability check system into a more complex action economy when Wizards of the Coast took over and created 3rd edition, destroying the Dominion style of play and converting combat away from an ability check each turn into more types of action economy, like actions, bonus actions, swift actions, reactions. It was far more of a technical combat. They expanded the scope of combat in the game by adding additional types of actions that can be taken during a round of combat, but they didn't extend that differentiation, like that delineation of action economy. For example, while you're exploring and looking for traps, they don't break down trap springing into actions, bonus actions, reactions, and movements. It doesn't. They didn't decide to make the game about disarming bombs. But if you wanted a game about disarming bombs, and that's the experience that you wanted everything to lean into, like all your negotiation ends up you finding a bomb that you need to disarm, or all the combat scenarios that you have in your game filter into, at the end of it, the climax of that encounter is having to disarm a bomb. Disarming a bomb over and over and over again becomes your action loop, and you need to have a wide variety of bombs to disarm, otherwise that's an incomplete game system. So when Wizards took over, it used to all be, and we were talking about like different degrees of depth in a combat system or a role-playing game. The gamification of the actions that your characters are performing, that you as players are essentially narrating the action that they're taking during their turns. And so I was primarily talking about just the observations for the play testing that I've been doing for the thing that I'm building, being all ability checks all the time. And so basically you have a minor action, which can be movement, or like taking something out of your bag, or maintaining concentration on something. These are minor things that you can do. Otherwise, you only have one action that you would roll an ability check to see if you achieve or not. The actions that you're taking this turn might not require an ability check at all, and so you just do the thing and your turn is over. But normally anything of significance requires some sort of die roll to determine how well you perform that task. And that used to be how D&D combat in 1st edition and BECMI, that used to be how combat was decided. Once per turn, you can move and then make an attack roll. And if the attack hits, you roll damage. There's like the index card RPG converts basically everything into a hit point pool, where like if you're disarming a trap, that trap has an intrinsic number of points that need to be overcome. So when you make your die roll on your ability check, if you roll well, you roll a resolution die that reduces the amount of hit points that Lock has left. And you can either reduce those points through lock picking, or you could reduce those points by punching it or like hitting it with a hammer until it eventually crumbles, and then the luck falls away. It's a really great narrative system that converts basically everything into combat. You just keep hitting things, either with, like during a debate, you hit things with logic and reason, and you dismantle their debate argument points so that you win the debate. So everything becomes an attack roll and damage rolls, and you just express what you're attacking differently. I'm attacking your logic. I'm attacking the mess in this room by cleaning it. That stuff. That's the idea behind Index Card RPG, which is a really cool system. So they went in the opposite direction. You could go in everything's ability checks, and the result of your ability check determines how far along you overcome the threat, whether it's a single die roll resolves it, or it's a tiered skill challenge that you have to roll multiple dice for, and depending on how many successes versus failures you have, paints the narrative of what happens with complications. The complications in Index RPG system is you still have to overcome it, and as you're attempting to overcome its hit points, other things are occurring that are distracting you from being able to continue that goal. So it's a different. There are once you understand the breakdown of action economy, like simple tasks versus complicated tasks, you can design your game around when am I going to use complicated tasks? When am I going to use simplified tasks? Do I want to focus the bulk of in-game activity into that more complicated task, or do I want to make the general flow of the game be the simple task? And then if we're going to have a mix of both complex and simple tasks, what triggers complicated versus simple actions? Like, I want to have the game system that I'm designing right now they're all simple tasks all the time, which means that the game moves very, very fast. And it's all either skill checks or single pass fail checks. Generally, it's skill checks, and depending on the result of that, it creates complications. Very sketchy with this wall. I'm doing that on purpose to diversify the language. Yeah, as soon as we get these squares finished up, we can then move into coloring. What time is it? 7:15. Cool. We still have 40 minutes. So I'm going to drop that off, add that back in. Hedge that down. So the martial power system, for those that don't know, the martial power system that I've been developing, it's a mana system where there's points that are spent for maneuvers and exploits and boosts and stuff like that. And the way that we have it built is that you can exchange action economy for free mana. So you can, by doing less during your round, the things that you do have more impact because you're investing spell points into whatever task it is that you're doing. Like, you could have 2 attacks and spend your own mana, or you can make 1 attack and get free mana to do the thing, and then save your points for later when you're not doing combat things. Because the mana pool is both for combat as well as exploration and social pillar challenge stuff. You have boosts and modifiers to how you interact with creatures, the environment, including damage and combat, of course, because it's 5e D&D. The primary function of D&D is combat simulation. So the highest degree of action economy filters into that with the actions, bonus actions, reactions, and movement, plus free actions, of course. Whittle that down. So you have ways to spend your bonus action to gain mana, ways to spend your actions and attacks during your actions to gain additional mana. And then you have a floating pool so that you can use mana both in and out of combat to boost different things that you're doing. And then a lot of the classes get mana back on short rests, or if they have a larger pool, they get it back on a long rest. So there is the dichotomy of, yeah, I think I want to break this down here and here. And everything that the monk does just fits very nicely with what we've built with this power system. So, of course, the document's on my Patreon already, and anyone is welcome to... It's a read-only document for folks that aren't me right now. But it is out there and in the wild for folks to be able to use. You can build characters up to 20th level. If you want to play test it right now, you are certainly welcome to. And anyone that does is most heartily invited to my playtest, my Discord, to talk about what you're running into if you're interested. But I'll be running as a DM a West March campaign, probably start in the last week of July if I can rally enough people together to play. There's the line art. There's the grits. There's the pillars, the base. Let's go to walls. And we're going to hide the grit. I'm going to pick up this base color. I could click fill. But in all honesty, I like manually coloring things like this. Like, it's very that meditative approach of a coloring book, you know, the art process. I create my own coloring book. Basically, we just create our own coloring book, and now I get to color it. So this is a very meditative, soothing process for me that I honestly enjoy just doing it. And we are off screen. We're working on the text for the adventure. We're in the appendices right now. We're working on Appendix 3. Appendix 1 is the different plants and materials that are found in the Manifest Zone. Appendix 1 should... we can debate that. Appendix 1 is currently like the flora and unusual materials and magic items that are in the adventure. Appendix 2 is all the NPCs and creatures. And then Appendix 3 is the alternate plot hooks that change the narrative of why your characters are in the adventure, what information they start off knowing, and what bonus resources they get to achieve their goals during the adventure. So, yeah, this feels good. So we've got everything's. I think everything is done except for the Appendix 3, which is the alternate plot hooks. I mean, obviously all the structure is in the adventure, but we're now working on like the exact language of how to present all the alternate options. So we have a structure that I think we figured out that's pretty good, and now we're just filtering in all of the other. Like there's 5 alternate plot hooks, and each plot hook modifies 4 different encounters in the adventure. So there's the background of the hook, there's the benefits and rewards that you get from using that hook, and then the unique encounters and complications inside of the adventure that occur as a result of that hook. And so there's one hook default where your characters are deputized to investigate complaints from locals about undead issues in the forest. And then all the other plot hooks are like no different pieces of information about the undead or the forest or the people that are involved. And given what information your characters know will affect like what their goals are inside the adventure to gain their experience and their rewards from the adventure. And you can run multiple hooks at the same time with different characters coming in with different goals. And towards the end of the adventure, we may find that those goals are often conflicting with each other. Like one person wants to salvage and return the artifact. Another goal wants to destroy the artifact. Others want to learn how to control the artifact. So there's different objectives that your characters can be pursuing depending on who hired them to do it. And like if you're doing this as like a one-shot, as like a paid adventure, like a professional DM would be able to use this adventure over and over again, because you could change what the goals of the adventure are, which can change the duration of the game itself. And if it's like a quote-unquote one-shot, you can have everyone entering the game with different pieces of information and different resources available that they can all share and use during the adventure. But when it comes down to it, like whoever like quote-unquote won the adventure is going to be whoever's objectives were achieved, right? So if you're keeping score, if you wanted to keep score, and award prizes or whatever to whoever achieved the most goals that they have, then people are going to have to decide, you know, are we going to destroy this artifact for big points, or am I going to lose out on those points and let that other guy learn how to use the artifact and keep it? I'm going to lose all those points. He's going to gain those points, but is that the narrative that we want? So it's a thing. It's a fun thing that that paid DMs can find reusability. Hey, what's up? Hey, Hernetico, what's going on, my guy? When did you sneak in here? I wasn't looking. Long time no see, my guy. We're also about ready to play test the fleet battle with the Vocaf Battle Crab. So that token is done, and now we're doing environment maps for the actual battle. So that should be something that we can play test probably in a week or two. That feels right. Good. Go to here. Hernetico, did you ever decide what you were going to do with the character stuff that you were developing? Or were you going to move ahead with the 5e2 with the 5e14 versions of them and then just update them when the books drop, or are you holding off on operations until it actually comes through? I'm really happy with the pacing that all my current projects have, because they won't be publishing until after 2020, until after the 24. I think if necessary, I'll be able to go through and revise the Spelljammer mechanics. The only thing that could potentially need changing is the grappling rules. I think the way it's going to be, I believe what will happen is that grappling is just a condition that you impose on others that they then make a saving throw to resist. It could be that, like, I grapple you, and then you make a saving throw, and if you fail the saving throw, then you're grappled. I don't know specifically if that's how they're going to do it. It could also be I grapple you, I automatically succeed, and now you have to make a saving throw to get out of it. I don't think they're leaving it as an opposed roll. I do believe it's converting to a saving throw, and we'll be able to, like, we have to change, like, maybe a line of text in the Spelljammer book that I published. Otherwise, it should still be 100% compliant with what 5e24 is going to be. There might be some alterations to spells that I'll need to make a revision inside the spellcasting area of the book, but there's enough padding inside the page spaces. The text isn't so dense that I can't make those modifications if necessary, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what those changes would be. Let's see. So, okay, next thing we need to do is base and then pillars. Yeah, this shouldn't be so square. I should probably modify those as well. We're on pillars right now, so let's go to here. I see text. I'll catch up with you in a second. Let me just get this in here. Like that. So still waffling. Yeah, that's fair. I want to refine a couple of my products that are in the works, but I just can't say how things are going to play out without seeing the new edition. Yeah, I know, right? It's turbulent time. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to hit the reset button for yourself and work on something. You don't need my fucking guidance. You didn't ask for my guidance. I just asked you, and now I'm volunteering information or whatever. You didn't ask for that. Hornetico knows what Hornetico needs to do. Doesn't need fucking Phil's help. Do that. I'm going to pop open the cemetery map real quick to make sure I'm working my colors correctly. Here comes the big boy. Bam! All right, so let's look at our wall colors here. Yep, we have that same patterning going along the top of these walls here. So we want to do the same. See where there's cracks and it's like slumping inward. You have the lighter color, and then at the top of this is a darker color, and then you have the lighter color for the general flagstones that you can walk on. That's denoting differences in elevation. Like this is something you can just traverse. This is something you have to climb over and provides cover for. But then, like, you get over here, this is impassable terrain. So there's the three differences in my opinion, in darkness, right? I don't know what colors they are, whatever. But this is traversable surface. This is a wall blocking space that you can't traverse at all. And then this provides cover but can be climbed over. So we are on the right path. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with what 2024 is doing. I'm from a designer's perspective. I'm not necessarily sure how much I'm going to enjoy everything from a DM's perspective or as a player. Well, that is yet to be seen. But so far, I like the design of everything. The mechanics that are being put in place are fun to play with, and they're actually I think they're introducing better tools or toys. They're introducing better toys into the 5e D&D system that creates more, like, it's more resources, more options, more levers to pull means more things to swap out for alternate class features or new features, or it just provides new mechanical language in general, which I just enjoy it. It doesn't hurt that the direction that Wizards is going is complementary to the design work that I've been doing recently. That's just me getting lucky. But I like seeing how much of the stuff that I've created for Martial Powers makes sense with 2024, and that really pats myself on the back because a lot of this, like, the bulk of the system I had was created a good year before the 2024 content started coming out. So I personally am very proud that I was kind of intuiting where a good space would go for D&D, but obviously as a designer, I went further with it than where 5e would obviously be willing to go, because 5e is attempting to make a vanilla whitewashed version of the game that's like the least common denominator. And then there's designers like myself and others that push the boundary of like what 5e mechanics and what the game, how do you express the game. That's like small third-party designers like us. That's what we should be doing. D&D is not there to innovate. It's there to create a stable base. So their innovations are very small and incremental, very measured, doesn't rock the boat much, and then people like us can grab and just run with those ideas and rock the boat as much as we want. Because it just benefits them as providing the base anchor that we're leveraging off of, which I think is fun. Why do you think Wizards is doing just the bare minimum in 5e when they could be? Yeah. I would like for D&D to innovate, to be honest. Yeah, it would be cool if they could. I'm still awfully back to caught up. Okay, great. Yeah, it says Wizards doesn't want to innovate. They want to create a stable base. Let's and I say that by Wizards TM, right? Like the corporation, they don't want to rock the boat. They have a formula that is working. They don't need to be like they don't need to go from 5e to 4e. You know, even if they found even if 6e was a perfect marriage between 4e and 5e, there's currently no interest in doing it because they're still expanding. If they were losing audience, if they were losing engagement, then that is a good indication that you should introduce a new system to reinvigorate excitement about the system. But 5e is so basic that it's still attracting new followers and staying at the same basic model that it has. It creates that least common denominator, right? It becomes the white bread that you build your sandwich on. Like all the stuff that I do is basically condiments and meat, right? And while everyone would like more innovation, there's no guarantee that Wizards is capable of, like, the problem that TSR had is that they over innovated. They expanded too quickly. They weren't careful with how they were expending their resources to make sure that they weren't glutting the market. They absolutely glutted the market with, fortunately for us, kick-ass campaign settings. But they literally killed their business providing us with content. All the box sets were gorgeous. They had like constantly all these poster-sized maps that they were providing with every setting, multiple poster-sized maps, tons of adventures, supplement after supplement after supplement, and it just kept pouring out. And it was so diverse. Like, you might not like Planescape at all, but here's 30 books about it. You might not like Mystara at all, but here's 25 books about it. You might not like Spelljammer, but here's 20 books about it. Forgotten Realms, here, have 50 books about the Forgotten Realms. Caratur, Oriental Adventures, here's 25 books about it. Dark Sun, yeah, I already mentioned that one. But let's talk about it again, because then they expanded and republished and re-released it with updated information. So let's make another 30 books about that. Like, it's like, oh my god. They're all box sets that are incredibly expensive to be able to sell. and to produce and to hang on because they had inventory mismanagement issues. So they killed themselves. So I'm pretty sure WotC's like, we are never going to do that. And so they really ratcheted down on how prolific their ideas were. And the problem is that the problem that they're discovering is that DMs buy all the books, but players are doing all the playing. So they're trying to figure out, how do we get more players to spend money on our products, knowing that all the adventures and setting expansions and stuff is only really being purchased by the DM. Players will buy like the Strixhaven or Curriculum of Chaos, right? If you want to be a player in that, you could pick up the book for the 15 pages of player content. That's a $60 book, you know, or a $50 book. Like it's not profitable for players to do that. It's just too expensive. So they are not going to do that. So Wizards is trying to figure that stuff out. Well, people like me that have no real overhead other than how much can I get done before I die, we don't have those problems. Oh, good pop in my neck. Very nice. Cool. And let's see where we're at. So how many more years do you think D&D 5 will keep going? That's a good question. I have no idea. I think they want at least 10 more years out of it. I think it just depends on how popular does it remain, and how long does sales stay ramped up, and that is technically grit. That's going to be pillar grit. Grit. Pillar. Walls. Go with wall base, gazebo, base, base, base. How low can you go? There's nothing in this layer. Base. We'll go with pillar tops. We'll go with wall tops. That, and we have the color that we need, right here. And now I just need the shape, so let's go down here to the brush that we use for this, my chisel brush. Perfect. There we go. All right, let's get after it. Yeah, it's really hard to say how long it's going to last. It just depends on the profit margins that Wizards pulls. Once the popularity of 5e starts to wane. People will get bored with it. This revitalization is a good effort to retain audience attention and extend the core of the mechanics that they have. But they're essentially they're trying to find a way to be able to retain all of the, like, they can still sell Curse of Strahd as is, because the modifications to the base system are so minimal. But it is an obvious attempt to inject new interests into the 5e system. I don't think it's debatable that it's going to saturate sometime in the next few years. So I think they're really trying to gird that eventuality. Turn that down a bit. Drop down to here. Prototypes. Go down to the base. Stuff in. So like that, and erase there. It's a good thing I like the language that I've developed with this wall, because I've been building maps like this literally for over a year now, off and on, really casually. It was very supportive and kind of Andy and Stuart to tolerate me basically backseating this for a year to get the Spelljammer stuff resolved. But honestly, I am finding, unfortunately for whatever production pipelines I ever dreamt of, the slower I move in producing my stuff, the better it is. Like, all my work is absolutely best slow cooked. Like, I don't just like punch stuff out. I don't know. Maybe that's my next evolution, is figuring out how to do the level of quality that I have, but faster. I know that slow makes smooth and smooth makes fast. So in time, the process will have less hiccups, and I'll just know how to do this stuff more and more intuitively. So that'll help increase the production time involved. But so much stuff that I do is like structural changes to how game, like essentially either building new game systems or expanding or deepening the concepts of them. So it takes a lot of time for me to mess around with new mechanics and make sure that they work, and then give them the time that they deserve to be sure that they all work before I try publishing them, instead of just kicking out an idea, or like, hey, I have an idea, and then publish it without knowing whether it works or not. Like, that just seems like such bullshit to me. Cannot be that guy. There it is. Let's go back to over here. So there's a little nagging bits here that poke out. There. Good. All right. Let's get back to it. How are we doing on time? Oh, wow. Okay. Got about 10 minutes left. Probably get the wall tops done. which is great news. That means all we have to do is, once we get these wall tops done, the only thing we have to do is add in the environment, the tokens, the hazard tokens, and I want to rough up these. This is too square. I'm not liking how sharp those edges are around here and here, so I want to go in and I want to fatigue these, which means I'm going to have to go back into the Gazebo map and fatigue that stuff too. Which won't be a huge effort, but it is something I'll need to do. So I'll be revisiting that stuff probably in the not too distant future. But that also means that, and I said this last time, that I'd have this done today, but I'm pretty sure it's going to actually be done tomorrow. Which is awesome, because then we'll move on to the next map for, that'll be Friday. We'll move on to the next map. Hey, what's up? So what is your day job? I work in marketing. I do math for a living. I do audience analysis and cost impact and analytics stuff. I work I work from home for a Seattle marketing firm. I stay vague on purpose. Forgive my vagary. Speaking of projects, I just realized I never finished up that mini adventure I was writing. Oh, no kidding, right? You should do that. Yeah. There's some phone calls, sure. That's not really my role. But I do client consultation when necessary, and but a lot of my duty is doing cost analysis for, like, what was the efficiency of working with this client, or like what services are we working with different companies, and how like what's the effectiveness of that campaign, blah blah blah, stuff like that. I don't have an education in that. I actually went to school for culinary, to be a chef, but I hate politics. And for you to get paid really well in cooking, it's all about, like, title and prestige. And I love prestige. Don't get me wrong. I love having prestige. It is one of the indications of quality and achievement in the professional industries, and especially for a man. Men tend to quantify their status to one another, like hierarchies. Men are naturally competitive in a hierarchy fashion, like who's the best at X, who's the expert at Y. So I definitely value the concepts of prestige, but in cooking there's too much ego involved with it. And when I was going through that process of deciding, is this something I really want to get into, I acquired skills as a chef, as a cook, but the back end of it, I wasn't enjoying enough to stay in the industry. So I bailed out of that and got into sales, because anyone can get into sales. And then I went through a number of different companies working for different types of, selling stuff. And I eventually ended up where I'm at, and got involved in sales for a number of years, but then started doing analytical stuff and doing breakdowns of, like, efficiencies, and basically created my own role in the company as an analyst. And so they redefined my role a few years back to start doing this analyst stuff full time. And so I created the job. I'm keeping the job. Until this side hustle of mine can generate a full-time income for a family in Seattle, I'll be sticking with it. Thank you. So this art, game design stuff is a long-term slow drip for me. Like I am in no hurry to get anywhere in my career as a game creator. But I'll be happy if I wake up someday and realize that I can, you know, pay the mortgage and insurance and retirement and our the lifestyle that I'm used to here. If I can achieve all of that by making books, then by God, I can quit my day job, and that'll be awesome. But I don't assume that's going to be any year soon, which is great because it just the more I get to casually approach and enjoy the creation process of making stuff, the more reliably I'll be able to continue to create it. And I'll get to a point someday where, if it is my destiny to do so, the muse will literally just plop me down in a new reality where this is what I do all the time. And that could be like I get laid off, you know, and I can't find a replacement job, so I'm stuck basically trying to figure shit out for myself, and maybe that'll be the explosion of productivity that leads this into a full-time gig for me. Maybe I'll just saunter along at the business that I'm at, and then someday something just clicks into place. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do this, and then I do it. You know, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? There are no plans right now. Where did my gazebo space go? Did I delete my gazebo space on accident? Yeah, I think I did. Stupid? I erased my gazebo. Alright, well, I guess let's add it back in, don't I? Alright, well, when the morning light comes streaming in, we'll get up and do it again. Yeah, I found that if I do artwork in the morning, being able to work from home has become a massive blessing in my life. I recognize the privilege and advantages that I have slowly sculpted over decades to get to a place where I can wake up in the morning, make a pot of coffee, log on, do some artwork for a couple hours in the morning, you know, maybe even just for an hour, whatever. It's like an hour today. And then just be able to get that creative juice flowing for my day, knock this stuff down, feel content with the work that I do, be able to walk away from it, focus my attention, and actually perform my job without any resentment or regrets that, oh man, when do I finally get to do some artwork in my day? It's like, nah, the artwork is the first thing I do as my priority in the morning. I do it at lunchtime, logging on and doing design work with you guys online here. I get to do that. And I want to get the grit here. There we go. Hey, that's my timer. So, okay, cool. So when we come back, this is looking great. We're going to add this environment back in. So here's our 20 by 20 grid map in general. And when we come back in, we're going to add grit like this to our wall tops. We're going to add in some of the water hazards that we created. We'll drop those into position. And then the spaces between the water hazards, the walls, and the gazebo itself, we'll then add in the environmental tokens, like the ferric ivy, razor wire, and the Vulpina Lotharia poison gas, and then some like mushroom patches and stuff. So we'll filter all that little stuff in there to make this like gussy this whole thing up, and then we'll be done with it. So tomorrow we're mostly just putting decals down onto the battlefield and wherever we think would be a cool place to put drop those things in. So we'll finish that, and then we'll start on the Tree of Woe map, which will basically be the same size environment, but instead of the walls and the gazebo, it'll be an undead tree and like piles of corpses and stuff. So we'll make that a little different map, and then once we finish the Tree of Woe, we'll do the Muddy Paths, which is cobblestone pathways that are partially sunk into the mud, partially exposed, since all the like they used to be completely buried by roots and grass and stuff, and now all that rotted away. You can see the underlying rock of the environment since all the soil is being stripped down. So that, and then we'll be done with the manifest zone maps. We'll move out, we'll go into the forest. We need to make 2 forest maps. So it'll be a forest clearing and then a denser forest location, and then that'll resolve that. And then all of the optional maps will be done. And then we'll go back and we'll make sure that the farming homesteads, there's like 30 different farming homesteads in the region outside of the core Thorpe village area. So we'll make sure that those village maps look good. Go back and finish, like we have some Yugoloth tokens that we need to make, and then some NPCs like in the village, and some more NPC tokens. We'll finish those up, and at that point we should be working on page layouts in August, and then once we have the page layouts resolved, then in September, October, November we'll be doing page layouts and interior art pages, and then maybe at the tail end of November we'll assemble and publish. It might be December. We'll see how quickly it goes, but that's the path that we need to follow. So we'll be finishing maps soon. We'll be doing a couple more NPC tokens, and then we'll be doing layouts and then spot art inside of the book that doesn't get filled with map and token pieces. We'll have like little vignette scene images. So, but we're looking really good here, guys. I'm going to step out for the day. And I won't be on this afternoon. I'll be back tomorrow morning to finish this, and then at tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock, I'm going to be on Wally DM's channel with How to RPG, Fred Willer. We're going to be playing some third level. I think we're third level right now. Third level Beckme. We're playing some basic D&D, going through a very old school adventure module. It's super fun. Love playing BX. So check that stuff out, and I'll provide a link for you guys to see it. And then after that, I'll be back on to do more Spelljammer environment maps for the Vokath Gas Moon battle, and then Saturday, and then Friday we'll be back on in the morning doing this, and then Friday at lunchtime we'll be back to continue working on the monk subclasses with the revisions that we saw for 2024, and then Saturday we might be back to working on the next hex for the 5th and 6th level Martial Powers playtest. We'll probably be developing the environment and the challenges inside of that. So stick around, bloody blah, likey dyke. See you guys in the future. Hey, wait a second. Yeah, right on, my guy. All right, out of here. Laters.